Okay. So today is the 22nd of July, and we're talking about process mastery. We talked about this a little bit earlier today. One of the things that I love about process mastery is it's the idea that you can break down anything that you want to achieve or any work that you're doing into manageable chunks. The other thing that I'm going to suggest to you is that you want to really try to do the easiest thing first. I know that kind of flies in the face of conventional wisdom. A lot of people will tell you, no, do the harder things first. But newer studies are showing us that if we try to do the easier thing first and get a quick win, we begin to feel more confident. So when you're making a list of next steps, if you will, how you're going to enroll someone or reach a certain rank, or if you're going to try to achieve something in your personal life, some of the easier stuff can make you actually feel much more confident so that you begin to tackle those more difficult things later. Don't go for the harder thing first, even though that has been what people have been talking about. So let me share my screen with you. Oops, that's not the screen that I want to share. There we go. Shrink this down. Okay, so you all know who I am, so I don't have to announce myself. The one thing that I will tell you is that all of these videos are being posted onto our YouTube channel, and so you can basically check them there, and they're going to be all in one folder that's called Goal Setting. So today we're talking about 6 simple steps to process mastery. I'm going to go through some of the slides actually fairly quickly, and other ones we're going to talk about in more depth. You know that this is usually our book of choice. But let's talk first about stepping out of your comfort zone. So we're talking specifically about goal setting. We're talking about goals that might feel a little bit risky, and that's not a bad thing. Now, they don't want to be in the insanity zone, right? You want to make sure that it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not so out of your attainability that you literally set yourself up for disaster, or you put yourself in a situation where you're compromising either your family or your other relationships to try to achieve this one goal. We talked about 6 crucial weekly activities for success, specifically at doTERRA. OILS classes, basic business training, wellness consults, continuing education classes, a team call, strategy session with key builders, and contact and follow-up. Now, this is a class that I'm going to be teaching, if not next week, then in 2 weeks on our morning call, and I'd love for you to join in and hear more about it. But let's talk about your action plan, because that's what we're talking about really tonight in the process of mastery. When we talk about mastery, there are really 3 things that you have to think about when we're talking about goal setting. The first is self-mastery. So that means getting a control of ourself and our time and the things that we do. We all have time wasters that we do, whether it's watching television or picking up our phone when maybe we shouldn't. And those are the things we need to do to kind of discipline ourselves into a way of not getting distracted by, and it can be anything. It can be picking up a magazine or reading catalogs. We all have ways that we kind of waste time. I'm not suggesting that you don't have free time, but I want to suggest to you that if you manage your time wisely, you're going to have higher quality free time, so that your the time that you spend by yourself or with your family are really doing things that you want to do, not just kind of time fillers, if you will. By mastering the process of doing doTERRA, the work that we do, or the process really of doing anything, whether it's the process of losing weight, or it's the process of training for a marathon, or any other process, we break it down into manageable chunks. So you want to list the actions that you must take within a certain time to achieve a goal. And then what an action plan does is, and this is when we're talking again about a life plan, it helps you to detail the concrete steps you need to attain your goals, usually covering the current quarter of the year. And when I started this class, we're now in week 7, we started talking about how we were trying to meet our goals for this quarter, and that by actively pursuing certain things within this quarter, we could make a time that sometimes, I know in New Jersey at least, it can be just kind of a a time to, I don't know, sit by the pool or go to the shore and really not do anything. But what I'm suggesting to you is there's plenty of time for the beach and plenty of time for pool and plenty of time for barbecues and to enjoy time with friends. But it's in those other times when we really should be working and we need to be mastering ourselves and the processes of the things that we do, that we can really enjoy those vacation times, if you will, a lot and at a much deeper level. By creating a timetable for each task and a timetable for your goal, you create a structure for yourself and for your life. So you're going to write out how you're going to follow up on the action plan to ensure the steps are carried out. This can include a weekly preview. And we haven't talked that much about a weekly preview, but I think we're going to talk about it next week. The concept basically is, if a quarter is 12 weeks, sometimes it's 13 or 12 and a half, depending on how long the months are in that quarter, how do we actually manage our time within that quarter? And what's our goal for ourselves within that quarter? We want to encourage other people also to be pursuing their goals within their time frame. You'd be surprised how a group of concentrated effort by each and every member of your team can really turn the tide for everybody, because people that are organized tend to be organized in all senses of their life. And so having an action plan is no different. I showed this diffuser blend for planning during the last call. You want to just take a screenshot of that or write it down. The other thing I want to talk to you about is time blocking. So this is an age-old concept. The idea is that every morning you're going to write down the things that you must do during the day that are going to take up the most amount of time. Now, many of you have seen the exercise where someone takes a glass jar. First, they put perhaps the big rocks, then they put the little pebbles, then they begin to add more and more things into the jar until finally the jar looks like it's filled, but you can always still add water. And that's the idea of time blocking, that we're putting in the big chunks or the big rocks first. Once your day is scheduled, you can move things around, but you're more likely to have a successful, productive day if you're looking at each day as a series of hours over perhaps a 12-hour period, let's say from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And obviously, I'm doing this a little bit later than 8 p.m. But the idea that you really are looking at each block of time as something almost like a gift. It's like managing your money. Right? We're going to spend our money on paper before we're spending it in our budgets, and the same is true of our time. We're going to budget our time on paper before we actually spend our time, because I'm going to suggest to you that your time is really super valuable. Time blocking also works for anyone, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you have children or do not, or you're a busy business owner, or you work in a job. I mentioned in this morning's phone call that I've been talking with a nurse who has actually a fluctuating schedule. Sometimes she works mornings and sometimes she works nights. And what I suggested to her is she almost have two plans, two ideal weeks, if you will. One when she's on the night shift, and then one when she's on the day shift. Either way, she is allowing herself time to get done and to enjoy the time, the in-between times when she is free and she's on her own time. Otherwise, she runs the risk of just really not doing anything and kind of living for working. And that's kind of a sad way for us to be living. This is a quick blend that I presented for brain fog. I like some of the oils in there, especially the rosemary when we're thinking of the brain and for concentrating. Okay, so now let's talk about modeling. So many of you are modeling me, and I'm modeling other people, and I'm also modeling you. I look at your behavior, I look at the things that you're doing, and I try to make sure that I'm serving each one of you, because I think my goal, if it's anything, is to help you to be successful. If I present information that is only meaningful to me but not meaningful to you, I really haven't done anything, and I haven't served you in any way at all. So I want to make sure that the information that you're getting here on the goal setting calls is going to be valuable to you in your life. Now, a couple of you actually get on the phone with me during the week, and we've been going through your goals. We've been talking about your big three for the week. I know some of you already have the focus planner, or your big three for the day. Here's the other thing. If you have a gap, you have a day where you just don't even pick up your planner, don't despair. Pick up your planner the following day. That's the beauty of this system. You never really lose a day. You just pick it back up. It doesn't have to be continuous. You haven't lost anything. You just get right back onto the system wherever you've left off. So you want to model the behavior of other successful people. That could be in their morning routines. It could be in their life plans. It could be getting suggestions for the goals you want to set for yourself. I know sometimes when I'm trying to set a goal for myself, especially a life goal, I'll just go blank. I'll be sitting in front of the paper and I'll be thinking, I don't even know what to think. I don't know what my goals are. But when I look at the goals of other people, I can become inspired. I can think about places that I want to travel or things that I want to do with my family. And I'm not the type of person who wants a fancy car or some sort of, I don't know, I'm not a toy person looking for sort of adult toys. That's just not my thing. But the idea of being able to travel when I want to, enjoy time with my family, enjoy time with my friends, maybe to cultivate some of my friends more deeply, my friendships, those would all be things that would be very valuable to me. You want to also resist the urge to follow too many people. I listened to some of you saying that you follow this person for this and this other person for that. And I think in social media, it's very easy to get caught up in just listening to so many different gurus. And I don't really love that word, but it's the idea that there are many different cooks or chefs, if you will. And when you try to pull from different ideas, what you wind up doing is really just getting confused and also spending a lot of time, extra time that we don't, and none of us really have. Models are a great way to simulate scenarios. So when you see someone doing something, which is sort of like what I'm talking about when you're doing goal setting, if someone else is doing it or has already done it, you have the opportunity to do it too. You can model your life or your behavior on that person. And in my case, I did this with Oil Camp. I heard about somebody else doing it, contacted that person. I happened to know who they were personally, talked to her about it, and decided, yes, it was something that I would absolutely want to do. So you're going to do better with your goals and with your modeling if it's something that you're going to stick to one, choose that one thing and stick to it and complete it. Talked about a thought cleansing essential oil blend. That idea that when we get a little bit fuzzy, we start feeling tired, we feel like we've been working really hard, maybe we're going to bed too late, we need to really cleanse our thoughts and start on a fresh page. Contact and create relationships. Now, why is this important for goal setting? I think sometimes when we get focused on a particular goal, we can also isolate ourselves, but we don't live in a vacuum. We have different, I'm going to call them life accounts. And some of them are personal, some of them are professional, and then some of them are purely self-development, whether it's intellectual development, emotional development, maybe it's spiritual development. All of those things are intertwined. It could be your health. If we are completely lacking in one area of our life, we're going to begin to feel it in another area of our life. So staying focused on a goal is important, but creating relationships that can really renew us and refresh us, whether the relationships in our family or our loved ones or friendships, all of those are extremely important when we talk about goal setting. The other thing that you can do with goal setting is you can reveal your goals to someone that you care about a lot. You can either reveal them to a spouse or a boyfriend or a friend or a girlfriend or a sister perhaps, or someone else who's going to be able to look at them objectively. And that process of revealing the goals and maybe reviewing with them is also a very positive step. The last thing I'm going to suggest to you is handwriting out your goals. Many studies suggest that actually using handwriting, your own handwriting, to write these things out can not only cement them in your brain, but can act almost like a star for you that you can follow. You begin to really cement in your thought processes what it is that I want to do. So we talked a little bit in our last call about a friendship blend. So when you're trying to make those contacts and stay in contact with different people so that you can really enrich your life in terms of your goal setting, you can use your friendship blend. Now, we talked about sales as it pertains to doTERRA, and sometimes you talk about, many of you have used growing your doTERRA business to the next level as an important step or a goal that you want to take. But I'm going to turn it upside down and say that one of the steps that you need to take to be able to grow your business is to feel comfortable with sales. Now, sales can sometimes be a dirty word. People don't always like it. But the reality is that we do have a product. It does have value, and we have to learn how to express that value to other people. So when you're thinking about your goals, if one of your goals is growing your team, increasing enrollments, growing to a certain rank, achieving a bonus, whatever it is within doTERRA, you are going to have to think about sales. And if it's something that you struggle with, it can be helpful to spend some time getting a better understanding of the sales process and fine-tuning your sales skills without embarrassment, without feeling, oh my goodness, I should have learned this earlier. I'm going to also suggest that as we grow as people in this process, our skills also change and develop. So what might have worked for you in the past may not be working for you right now, and that's okay. I think the idea is not to get stagnant, but also allow ourselves to seek out new ways. Here's the other thing. I feel like I've been in this business so long, the way I sold products 12 years ago or 13 years ago is not the way I'm selling products now. The home model, if you will, which was kind of throw a party in your house and have people come over, has become kind of gone out of fashion. And now the idea of maybe teaching a class is becoming more popular. And so I like that idea of teaching an essential oils class and people come and they learn about the product. That's much more appealing to me. And then being able to teach a business class right after is also very appealing. So you want to make sure that if you're not feeling great in your sales skills, if you're not feeling comfortable inviting people, enrolling people, that you kind of come clean to yourself first, and then maybe find a mentor, an accountability partner, someone that you can say, hey, you know what, I'm really not feeling comfortable with this, or I think I need a refresher. How about that? And then try to work together in pairs. As the year progresses, I think after I finish goal setting, maybe we're going to do something, talk about a weekly success schedule and use another 12-week course for making rank and also for just achieving success within the business. Okay, what if we have a failure? What if we have a failure either in our goal setting? I heard someone say I'm doing some goals okay and some other goals maybe not so much. What if we actually don't seem to be achieving our goals? So I'm going to use myself as an example. One of the goals that I had set for myself was I wanted to try to exercise 3 times a week. Now, for the longest time, for almost a year, I had been exercising easily 3 or 4 times a year. 3 or 4 times a week. And then for whatever reason, I kind of got out of the habit. And I don't know if it was when my daughter came home from school or there was some sort of something going on or I got busy. And it's almost like I just forgot to do it. And now suddenly it's painful. It's actually, I'm dragging my feet all over again, which means to me that I didn't really establish it as a habit as a goal, as a habit goal. Let me use the right terminology. So what I also learned is that sometimes when we have a habit goal, we need more time. So that the prevailing wisdom had been 90 days and the habit becomes fixed in your memory and it never basically goes away. And now they're saying, no, that's actually not exactly true. Sometimes it takes 180 days, and sometimes it takes as many as 250 days. So 250 days is like 2/3 of a year. And I have a feeling that in my particular case, I hadn't really established that goal quite enough. Now I'm doing much better with the water goal, which is another health goal. And I'm doing better with some other goals that are habit goals. But the exercise goal right now is eluding me. And so I'm going back to the goal on a regular basis and reading the steps and also reading the motivation for myself. Why do I want to do this goal right now? And so what I have to ask myself is, do I have, perhaps I have too many goals, or perhaps this is a time, I have a time crunch, which means I have to look at the other things that I'm doing. But when we face a failure, when we face a place where we're maybe not showing up exactly the way we want to be showing up, we have to go back to the goal itself and maybe rephrase it, maybe make it a little smaller. And it's okay to erase a goal if you need to, even if it's just for 12 weeks, and then maybe reintroduce it. Now, I don't think I'm going to erase the exercise goal because I think it's important enough, but I am going to rededicate myself. I did get myself, I went on a nice long walk on Saturday morning before it got super hot. I got up early and I went, and that made me feel good. And today's Monday. I didn't get out to exercise today, but I'm going to try to do a few things, even it's just sit-ups and push-ups before I go to bed, so that I'm getting into the habit of exercising on a regular basis. Okay. The unicorn blend. The reason I included the unicorn blend is sometimes we just need that little bit of magic. And the magic can be the small win. The magic can be just giving ourselves a little bit of a boost. And the magic can be also setting a prize or a reward for ourselves, which keeps us motivated. Now, I have a couple of rewards on my goals that are very motivating to me. So one of my goals is to actually make some repairs on my house that I've been putting off for the longest time. And they're kind of time consuming, and they're not the kind of, sexy, popular, beautiful things like redecorating, but they really need to be done. And I promised myself if I get those things done, I'm actually going to throw a Christmas party. So that makes me feel like, okay, I really want to have the Christmas party. So I have to get these things done. And I'm trying to knock them off my list one by one. And I made a little bit of progress this past week. I don't know how much further I'm going to get within these 12 weeks, but I figure between now and Christmas, I'll be able to get those done. And so sometimes you just need the unicorn to ride into your life and kind of lift you up, even though it's not, there's no magic here, but to get us to the next level. Okay, here's the other thing we sometimes face when we're trying to set goals for ourselves. We face fears. And we have fears that we're going to fail. We have fears that we're not good enough. We have imposter syndrome. Like everybody's looking at us and they think that we're great, but inside we don't feel that great. We feel like we could be doing something else, or somebody else could be doing it better, or that everybody is thinking that we're an A and we're really feeling like a Z. And so I'm going to challenge you to release some of those fears. I think as women, especially, we're taught that we have to be beautiful and smart and great parents, and we have to have a great job, and all of these different standards that we have to live up to. But the only standard really that you need to live up to is your own standard, and the standard that works within your family. Now, I'm not expecting you to go and do something crazy so that your family basically says, oh my goodness, they've fallen off the deep end. But what I am suggesting is by making a life plan for yourself and setting goals, you can release some of those fears that you have about maybe not being as successful or not being at a level that you wanted to be at by this time. There's no such thing as a time clock, if you will. If you do something now or you do something 5 years from now, it really doesn't matter. It's your life pace and your life plan, and that's what you have to remember for yourself. But what you do have to remember and keep reminding yourself is time is passing, and we want to make sure that your fears aren't holding you back to such an extent that you're not able to get to that next level. Okay, last but not least, follow up and how many touches. So when we talk about the process of mastering either a goal or our business, you want to make sure that you're following up with that goal. So here we're in this particular slide, I'm talking about actually following up with an individual. Someone enrolls in your team, you send a note to say thank you, you check in with them, and you keep the lines of communication open. I'm going to suggest to you that you're really doing the same thing when you're setting a goal. You're talking to yourself when you're reviewing your week, the week that just passed. It's almost like you're sending yourself a thank you note. You're praising yourself for the things that you accomplished. It's very easy to keep looking at the gap. We are, all of us, and anybody who's on this call I know is a high achiever and a hard worker. And it's easy for us to say, oh, I didn't get this done, and I didn't get this other thing, and I'm a failure at that, and I should have done this in a better way. What I'm going to challenge you to do is keep looking at every single week. What did I get done this week? And sometimes we get something amazing done and we just forget about it. But I'm going to challenge you to actually write those wins down every week so that when you get to the end of the week, you look at your wins and you say, wow, I did that. Now, sometimes now they're in week 7, you should be looking back almost 7 weeks and saying, what have I gotten done in the last 7 weeks? Because I want to believe that having been on this call with us for 7 weeks, that you've actually done quite a lot. I was talking to someone earlier today, and she's in the process of trying to sell her house. And she talked about removing truckloads of things from her house and giving them away to charity in preparation for showing her house, listing her house to be sold. And I thought to myself, that's a lot of work, but that's a real achievement. You know, when you have a goal like that you want to sell your house, obviously you want it to look less cluttered. You want it to look appealing to a buyer. You want to make sure that the buyer walks around and says, wow, these rooms are so big, or look how wonderful these closets are, or look at this beautiful home. I'd love to live here. The same thing is true when we're setting a goal. You want to make sure that the goal becomes appealing to you. So you've got to clean out the clutter, and then you have to keep in touch with the goal. So by checking in on a weekly basis and saying, okay, what did I do that was right? And what do I still have yet to do? What's my next step? By keeping the lines of the communication open, we're doing 2 things. We're talking to those same people that were originally our motivators or our accountability partners, if you will. The other thing that we're doing is we're keeping track. Oh my goodness, I'm getting a strange message there. We're keeping track of where we are. We're communicating well with ourselves. Okay. Do I have one more slide? No. Trying to stop the share, folks. No. Okay, so I guess I'm at the ends of my slides. So remember, you are amazing and have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for having been here. There we go. Okay, let's stop the share. And I want to ask if there's any questions. Okay. Yeah, that's great, Heather, that you've been moving forward and you've refined a few through the process. Anybody else want to tell me something that they've learned through going through? Most of you, I'm looking at the faces here, many of you have been on with me since the very first week. What are some of the things that you've learned? Is any of the things that I'm talking about resonating with you? You want to give me a thumbs up, or you want to just say yes in the chat if you're feeling like it's resonating with you? So I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I see at least 2 or 3 people on the call that have not sent me a goal. And I've always, oh, great. Okay. Terrific, Lisa. Posted the goals on her bathroom mirror and in her planner. Great. And I see them every day. That's really good progress. If you have not sent me a goal yet, please send me at least 1 goal so that I can take a look at what the format is. We want to make sure that we're using the smarter format. And I'm just looking at my photos for a second to see if I have the smarter format written out here, because I know that I've sent it to so many people over the last few weeks. Yes, smarter format. Okay, so you want the goal to be specific, measurable, action-oriented, risky, timed, exciting, and relevant. And by relevant, that means it has to be relevant to your time of life. Maybe you have small kids at home. Maybe you don't have any small kids at home. You want to make sure that you're able to complete the goal in the something that's relevant to where you are now. I know some of you are taking care of elderly parents. Maybe you have grandchildren at home. Maybe you have small children in your house. You may be part of the sandwich generation, that you're taking care of both kids and parents at the same time. So you want to make sure that whatever the goals are that you're setting, they're relevant to your time of year. So I'm going to ask one last question, and I'm going to let you go because you're a very quiet audience tonight. How many of you have made, since you started listening to this webinar, how many of you have actually listed or made your goals? I know, Lisa, you have, and I know, Heather, you have. Can you tell me? Anybody else can tell me? Jill, I'm thinking of you maybe, or Noreen, or Carol. Carol, you did. Okay, great. Jill or Noreen, have you had a chance to list out some of your goals? If you haven't, it's okay. But I'm going to encourage you. We're getting into week 7, so we passed the mid-mark now, and we're going into the second 6 weeks. Jill, you did it. Great. So Carol and Jill, I'm going to challenge you to send me at least one of your goals. Send me the one that seems least embarrassing. The reason I want to see them is I'm trying to help people to get it into the smarter format. And I know that at least 1 or 2 of you have sent goals to me thinking that it was in the smarter format, and we were able to kind of tweak them a little bit. Not sure if they're in smart format. Did you receive them? I messaged them. I don't know if I did, Carol. I'll have to check it. I'll have to check that. Oh, you sent them through Facebook Messenger? I will check it. I don't see. Okay, here we go. Yes. Okay. I see your goals. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to maybe make a few tweaks on those, but those are good. Okay. All right, Noreen, then you're the only one. If you want to send me some goals this week, I'd be happy to review them. Okay, ladies, any questions before we go? So when we talk about process mastery, we're talking about, and as it pertains to goals, we're talking about understanding how to break the goal down into pieces and understanding what the pieces are so we can actually master that goal. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here on Monday night and serve you and to talk about a topic that can be a little bit sticky. I think some people feel like, oh, goal setting, it's so big. But I think we have to demystify some of these things. And I think as we work together to do that, we can really make a lot of progress. So I appreciate everyone who's on here tonight live, and anyone who winds up watching this afterwards. Good on you for getting your goals together and for listening to this Zoom presentation, and hopefully you'll be on with us again next week. So have a wonderful week, everyone, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye now.